You ever felt like something big is happening? Something you can't see, but you can feel it deep inside. Like a quiet war going on, not with weapons or armies, but with energy, with truth, and with lies. Welcome, my friend. You just stepped into the secret war between the chosen one and the narcissist for the future. The war for 2026. This isn't just another story. It's happening all around us, in homes, in friendships, in minds, in hearts. One side wants to build the future with love, faith, and light. The other side wants to twist it with control, fear, and power. The chosen one is that rare soul who carries truth inside them, someone who sees beyond the mask, who can't be fooled by fake smiles or sweet lies. And the narcissist? They are the masters of illusion. They don't fight with fists, they fight with manipulation. They whisper doubt into your heart, make you question your worth, and feed on your light to keep you silent. But 2026 is different. It's the year the future itself starts to shift. It's the year the chosen ones rise, not in anger, but in awareness. They finally see the game. They finally understand the truth. The future belongs to the awakened. This war is not about who screams louder. It's about who stays true longer. It's not about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. Because every time a chosen one refuses to be drained, a piece of the future is reclaimed. Every time you choose peace over chaos, love over ego, you win another battle in this unseen war. So stay with me till the end of this video, because what I'm about to share might change the way you see everything, your pain, your past, and your purpose. This is not a war to fear. It's a call to remember who you are. If you've ever felt misunderstood, drained, or like your light was being dimmed, this message is for you. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are chosen. And together, we are fighting for the future, a future built on truth, not lies, on freedom, not fear. So join our community of light-minded souls. Show some love, drop a comment, share your journey, and stay till the end, because the war may be secret, but your victory will be seen by all. 2026 is coming, and this time, the future fights back with you. The world may look normal on the outside. People going to work, scrolling on their phones, living their everyday lives. But something deeper is happening beneath the surface. A quiet storm is rising. It's not a storm of rain or thunder, but of energy and intention. Somewhere in the unseen places of the spirit, the future is under attack. The narcissist doesn't just want control today. They want to decide what tomorrow will look like. They don't just take your peace in the present. They try to shape what your future becomes. Every lie they tell, every seed of doubt they plant, is part of their silent mission to erase what the chosen one was meant to become. The moment everything changes. Imagine a bright light trying to grow inside you. It carries dreams, purpose, and a destiny meant for 2026, a time when truth will rise stronger than ever. But while that light grows, there's a shadow watching closely. That shadow fears what will happen when your light shines fully, because it knows the future will no longer belong to deception, it would belong to truth. So the narcissist does what shadows always do. They try to cover the light before it reaches its full strength. They use words that confuse. They use control that looks like love. They make you believe you're not enough, so you stop moving toward the future you were meant to live. This is how they attack the future, not by changing time, but by breaking faith. If they can make the chosen one forget who they are, the future begins to bend toward darkness. That's why this war is not about armies. It's about awareness. Every choice to stay true, every act of courage, every time you refuse to be silenced, you protect another piece of the future. But here's the secret they can't destroy. The future doesn't belong to them. It was written by something greater, something divine. The narcissist can delay it, distract it, and disguise it, but they can never delete it. The truth always finds its way through the cracks, like light slipping under a closed door. In 2026, the chosen ones start to remember. They stop reacting to the narcissist's traps. They stop feeding the darkness with their energy. Instead, they begin to build the future, consciously, with love, clarity, and strength. The storm still rages, but it no longer controls them. The future is under siege, yes, but it's also being protected by every soul who refuses to give up their light. Because when truth stands firm, the lies of the past lose their power, and the future finally becomes free.
For a long time, the chosen one lived in confusion. Life felt like a never-ending battle. People turning against them, doors closing for no reason, and strange moments when peace felt so far away. They tried to fix everything, to please everyone, to keep the world calm. But no matter how hard they tried, something always felt off, like an invisible hand was holding them back. At first, the chosen one thought this war was about the past, about old wounds, mistakes, or the people who hurt them. They kept asking, why did this happen to me? But over time, something deeper began to stir inside. A small voice whispering, this isn't about what happened, it's about what's coming. That's when the awakening began. The moment didn't arrive with thunder or lightning. It came quietly, like the sunrise after a long, dark night. The chosen one finally started to see that everything they had been through wasn't random. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every lonely night had been preparing them for something greater, the power to shape the future. The chosen one realized the real war was never about revenge, control, or getting even. It was about creation. The narcissist fights to keep the future small, chained to the past. But the chosen fights to open it wide, to create a world where truth and peace can finally breathe. When this truth hits, the chosen one's vision changes. They stop looking backward. They stop trying to understand why the narcissist did what they did. Instead, they start building themselves, their spirit, and their purpose. They stop reacting and start creating. That's when their power returns. The narcissist wanted them stuck in fear, doubting their own strength. But the chosen begins to see their strength isn't in how loud they fight, but in how clearly they see. Every act of kindness becomes a weapon. Every moment of peace becomes a victory. Every time they choose truth over illusion, they reshape the energy of the future. It's like the whole universe was waiting for this realization. Once the chosen one wakes up, everything starts aligning. Opportunities appear, false people fade, and their inner power grows stronger. The world doesn't get easier, but they finally understand their place in it. Because awakening isn't about escaping the battle. It's about seeing it clearly and knowing what it really means. This war isn't about the past anymore. It's about who gets to shape the world that's coming. And in 2026, that world belongs to those who have awakened, those who refuse to live in illusion and choose to walk in truth, no matter how heavy the path. The chosen one is awake now, and once awakened, they can never go back to sleep.
For years, the narcissist has played a careful game. They move quietly, like a shadow that always stays close to the light, watching, copying, and pretending to care. They've studied you, not because they love you, but because they need to understand how your light works. The narcissist learns your emotions, your reactions, your dreams, even your pain. They mirror you so perfectly that sometimes you can't tell where you end and they begin. It feels like they understand you more than anyone else, but that's their trick. It's how they get close enough to drain your spirit without you noticing. They feed off your energy, your kindness, your attention, your belief in them. Every time you explain yourself, every time you try to fix what's broken, they collect your strength piece by piece. It's not your love they want, it's your power. They don't just want to control the moment, they want to control your timeline, your sense of who you were, who you are, and who you're becoming. They twist memories, rewrite the story, and make you question your reality. That's how they win, not by fighting, but by confusing. And for a while, it works. You doubt yourself, you lose your direction. You start believing that maybe you are the problem. But here's where the turning point begins, the moment their illusion starts to crack. As 2026 approaches, something changes. The chosen one no longer reacts the same way. The old tricks stop working. The silence that once felt painful now becomes peaceful. The guilt that once controlled you starts to fade. You begin to see patterns, not just their words, but their intentions. That's when the narcissist panics. Because their greatest weapon has always been your confusion. Once you see through it, the game ends. Their final strategy is desperation dressed as love. They'll try to pull you back one last time through fake apologies, sudden kindness, or false promises of change. But the chosen one now sees clearly. You understand that their light was never real. It was a reflection of your own. As their illusion breaks, the energy shifts. The control they once had starts to fade because you're no longer feeding it. The narcissist's world begins to collapse under the weight of its own lies. 2026 marks the beginning of that collapse, not just in one relationship, but in the spiritual world itself. The truth is rising, and every hidden mask is being removed. The narcissist's empire of manipulation can't survive in the light of awareness. And so the war begins to turn. The chosen one doesn't need revenge. Their power now lies in clarity. The narcissist's final strategy fails because truth cannot be tricked and light cannot be copied forever. The illusion cracks, the masks fall, and the chosen one finally walks free, carrying the future that was always meant to be theirs.
Time is supposed to be something natural, a path we walk step by step from past to present to future. But in the hands of a narcissist, time becomes something else entirely. It becomes a weapon, not one made of metal or fire, but one made of confusion and control. The narcissist doesn't just attack your thoughts, they attack your sense of when things happened and what they meant. They don't want you to live freely in the present or move confidently toward the future. They want you trapped, replaying old pain, doubting your own memories, and fearing what's next. They use the past like a chain. Whenever you try to move forward, they pull you back with guilt, blame, or half-truths. They remind you of mistakes you've already forgiven yourself for, twisting your own memories until you question your reality. Then they use the present like a mirror. They reflect your emotions back at you, anger, sadness, hope, until you can't tell which feelings are real and which ones they planted. And finally, they use the future like a threat. They fill it with fear. You'll never find better. No one will believe you. Without me, you'll fail. Each word is designed to build a prison made of time, one where every second feels like their shadow is still watching. The chosen one begins to notice that time doesn't feel the same anymore. The flashbacks lose their power. The fear of the future begins to fade. The chosen one realizes something incredible. The narcissist only has power when you believe their version of time. That's when the awakening deepens. The chosen one stops living in the loop of pain and steps back into the now. They begin to see that every moment is a choice, not a curse. The past no longer defines them. It teaches them. The future is no longer a threat. It's a creation waiting to happen. And that's what terrifies the narcissist. Because once the chosen one controls their own timeline, the narcissist loses control completely. They can't twist your memories if you know your truth. They can't make you fear the future if you've already chosen faith over fear. Time turns back into what it was always meant to be, a gift, not a weapon. In 2026, this shift becomes clear. The chosen ones stop reacting to old stories. They start writing new ones. Every day becomes a small victory. Every sunrise a quiet reminder that time now moves with them, not against them. The narcissist may have tried to trap them in a broken timeline, but they forgot one thing. The chosen one doesn't live in fear anymore. Because once you master the moment you're in, time itself becomes your ally, and your freedom begins.
There are moments in history when time slows down, when everything feels strange, heavy, and uncertain. People can't explain it, but they can feel it. The air changes, the energy shifts. It's as if the world itself is holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. We are standing in one of those moments now. And all signs point to one thing: 2026. For years, there have been whispers, spiritual ones, emotional ones, even quiet inner voices, all saying the same thing: something big is coming. Not a war of soldiers or cities, but a war of spirits and truth. The year 2026 is not just another year, it's a doorway, one that separates illusion from reality, lies from truth, darkness from light. The prophecy speaks of a great shift, a time when hidden powers will rise, masks will fall, and every soul will be forced to choose which side of truth they stand on. For a long time, the narcissists, those who feed on control, power, and deception, have ruled through illusion. They've built systems that reward manipulation and silence truth. They've learned to twist what's real until people stop trusting their own hearts. But the prophecy says that their time is ending. In 2026, their masks will begin to crack. The things they've hidden, the lies, the games, the fake kindness, will no longer stay buried. Truth will rise like sunlight through fog, slowly exposing what was once unseen. Every manipulation will face light. Every illusion will lose its color. And every soul will see the world for what it truly is. This shift won't just happen in the world. It will happen inside people. The chosen ones, who have spent years in pain, silence, and confusion, will begin to awaken at a deeper level. They'll start connecting dots that never made sense before. All the betrayal, rejection, and suffering they faced would suddenly appear as preparation, a spiritual training ground for what's coming next. The prophecy of 2026 doesn't promise peace right away. It promises truth first. And truth, when it arrives, often shakes everything. The old ways of thinking will collapse. Relationships that were built on lies will break apart. Masks will fall, not only from others, but also from ourselves. This is why so many people feel lost right now, because their old world is dying while the new one hasn't fully appeared yet. But here's the hook, the moment that changes everything. The prophecy says the ones who survive this shift aren't the ones with the most power, money, or influence. It's those who carry light inside. Those who refuse to let the world make them cold, bitter, or afraid. The chosen ones are not chosen because they are perfect. They are chosen because they are willing to rise again, even after being broken. They are the builders of the new future, a future led by clarity, honesty, and love that cannot be faked. In 2026, the world begins to divide, not into nations or tribes, but into frequencies. One side will cling to illusion, trying to keep control through lies and fear. The other side will rise through awareness, faith, and spiritual strength. The invisible war will become visible, and everyone will feel it. The narcissists, the masters of illusion, will fight harder than ever before. They will use fear, distraction, and chaos to pull people back into confusion. They will try to rewrite truth, distort reality, and create false prophets of power. But their tricks will no longer hold. The energy of 2026 won't allow it. The universe itself will start rejecting lies. Situations that used to stay hidden will suddenly come to light. People who lived double lives will be exposed. Entire systems built on control will begin to crumble, not because of revenge, but because they can't exist in higher truth. That's the beauty of this prophecy. It doesn't announce destruction, it announces awakening. The world won't end, it will simply shift. For the chosen ones, this year will be both a test and a beginning. They will face choices that shape not just their own lives, but the direction of the world around them. Their words will carry weight. Their actions will echo far. They will become living mirrors, showing others what truth looks like when it walks, speaks, and stands tall. But awakening isn't easy. It means standing against lies even when standing alone. It means letting go of old comfort, old patterns, and old fears. It means trusting that the light inside you knows the way, even when everything outside looks dark. That's what 2026 will demand. Courage. The courage to see clearly, to forgive wisely, and to move forward fearlessly. In the spirit world, time doesn't just pass, it unfolds in waves. And 2026 is the wave that washes away everything built on illusion. It's the year when the energy of truth becomes too strong to ignore, when manipulation breaks under its own weight, when those who pretended to be good can no longer hide behind their masks. It's also the year when the chosen ones finally step into their purpose, the reason they endured so much pain, isolation, and misunderstanding. Because you can't guide others out of darkness unless you've walked through it yourself. So as 2026 approaches, the world will look chaotic. But don't be fooled. What looks like destruction is actually transformation. What feels like loss is often rebirth. Every soul will have a choice to keep serving illusion or to step into light.
The narcissists will fight to hold the future hostage, but the chosen ones will fight to set it free. And this time, the outcome won't be hidden. Everyone will see it. Everyone will feel it. Because when truth rises, it doesn't whisper. It shakes the entire timeline. The prophecy of 2026 is not about fear. It's about freedom. It's the reminder that no lie lasts forever, no mask stays on forever, and no darkness can ever defeat light that knows who it is. The chosen ones are no longer sleeping. The narcissists can no longer hide. And the world, whether it's ready or not, is about to awaken. The shift has already begun, and 2026 will be the year truth takes the throne.
In every generation, there are those who build the future and those who try to steal it. The chosen ones are the future builders. They don't rely on manipulation or control. They create through faith, purpose, and vision. Their strength comes from something invisible yet powerful: belief. They plant seeds in the unseen, trusting that what they build in light will one day shape the world around them. Their hearts carry a quiet fire that keeps them moving forward, no matter how dark things seem. But then there are the future thieves, the narcissists. They cannot create, so they steal. They twist truth into lies and peace into confusion. Their power comes from control and fear, not from love or purpose. When they see someone glowing with divine potential, they don't admire it, they target it. They mirror your light, copy your dreams, and drain your energy until you start doubting yourself. Their goal is simple but dangerous: to keep you distracted long enough that you forget your mission. The year 2026 stands as a turning point between these two forces. It's not just another year, it's a spiritual crossroads. The world will begin to see who was truly building and who was only pretending. The masks will fall, and the truth will expose both the creators and the thieves. Those who were guided by faith will begin to see their seeds bloom, while those who thrived on manipulation will face the collapse of their false worlds. This war between builders and thieves isn't fought with weapons. It's fought with energy, truth, and time. The narcissist survives by creating storms of confusion, pulling others into emotional traps. They whisper doubts, twist reality, and convince the chosen that their dreams are impossible. But the chosen ones rise differently. They don't fight chaos with chaos. They bring stillness, awareness, and divine focus. They remember that confusion is the enemy's greatest weapon, and clarity is their greatest shield. As 2026 approaches, a strange silence begins to settle in the spirit realm, like the air before a storm. The chosen can feel something shifting, something awakening. The battles that once drained them no longer have the same power. The fog begins to lift, revealing what was hidden for years. And suddenly, the chosen ones start to see. Every attack, every setback, every betrayal was actually preparing them for this moment. The future builders are awakening. Their words carry power. Their vision brings healing. They no longer chase approval or recognition. They simply create. Their work will shape families, communities, and even nations. And as they rise, the future thieves will find themselves losing control because the light they tried to steal was never theirs to begin with. 2026 will not just expose truth, it will restore balance. Every false empire built on lies will crumble. Every honest heart that stayed true will shine brighter. The world will finally see who was building futures and who was stealing them.
The narcissist's world is not real. It looks solid, loud, and powerful, but underneath, it's made of smoke and mirrors. Everything they build is based on perception, not truth. Their empire stands only as long as people believe in it, feed it, and react to it. They live off emotional energy, attention, fear, admiration, control. It's their fuel. Without it, their entire illusion begins to crack. That's what makes this war so strange. It isn't fought in physical reality, but in the invisible space of belief, emotion, and perception. The narcissist creates an image, a version of themselves that shines on the outside, but is hollow inside. They want others to see them as powerful, wise, or untouchable, but it's all an act, a movie they direct where they are always the hero and everyone else plays a supporting role. Their control comes from illusion, and that illusion needs constant maintenance. They twist reality, rewrite stories, and use manipulation to keep others trapped in their version of truth. The moment someone sees clearly, their entire empire begins to shake. And that's where the chosen one comes in. For years, the chosen may have been caught inside that illusion, confused, drained, and questioning their worth. The narcissist fed them lies, making them believe that they were weak, unworthy, or powerless. But deep down, the chosen always carried a spark of divine truth. That spark couldn't be destroyed, only buried. Over time, the chosen begins to see patterns, to notice that things don't add up, to sense the false light behind the mask. And slowly, their eyes begin to open. When the chosen stops reacting, everything changes. That single decision to no longer feed the illusion creates a ripple through time itself. The narcissist's control starts to crumble because their energy supply is cut off. They push harder, trying to trigger a reaction, but nothing works anymore. The calmness of the chosen becomes their greatest weapon. Silence becomes a mirror that reflects the narcissist's true face. Every manipulative trick that once worked suddenly falls flat. This is the moment called the illusion collapse, the point where false power dissolves and truth takes its place. It feels like waking up from a long dream. The chosen looks around and realizes that the things they once feared no longer have power. The threats, the guilt, the fake stories, all of it loses meaning because illusions cannot survive in the presence of truth. And the truth is this: the narcissist never had real power. They only borrowed yours. Time itself begins to shift when the illusion collapses. The chosen starts to see how every event was connected, how every painful moment was secretly pushing them toward awakening. The confusion clears, and new understanding takes its place. The chosen begins to move differently, speak differently, and think differently. The energy that was once wasted on reacting now flows into creation, healing, and purpose. The more they grow in awareness, the faster the narcissist's false world disintegrates. In 2026, this collapse will no longer be personal. It will become global. The false systems built on control, greed, and deception will begin to reveal their cracks. Just like the narcissist's fake reality, these systems depend on the belief of others to survive. When people stop reacting in fear and start thinking with clarity, those systems lose power. Truth will rise like light breaking through fog, and everything built on lies will fade into dust. For the narcissist, this collapse feels like chaos. They panic as the world stops dancing to their tune. They accuse, project, and blame, but none of it works anymore. The calmness of the chosen becomes their greatest weapon. Silence becomes a mirror that reflects the narcissist's true face. Every manipulative trick that once worked suddenly falls flat. Stillness becomes the revolution. Awareness becomes the weapon. Truth becomes the light that burns away falsehood. The chosen learns that they never had to defeat the narcissist. The illusion collapses on its own when truth enters the room. What once seemed like a mighty empire reveals itself as fragile glass, shattering under the weight of honesty. The collapse is not just external, it's internal too. The chosen starts to rebuild their inner world, free from manipulation. They begin to trust their intuition again, listen to their soul, and reconnect with their divine purpose. What was once stolen energy now becomes pure creative power. Every wound becomes wisdom. Every scar becomes strength. And as this healing spreads, the collective timeline begins to heal too. When enough chosen ones stop reacting, the narcissistic structures that ruled for generations lose their hold. The illusion that power means control dissolves, replaced by a higher truth, that real power means peace. So the illusion collapse is not destruction, it's revelation. It's the moment when false power fades and real power returns to its rightful place. The chosen doesn't need to shout, prove, or seek revenge. They simply stand in their truth, and that truth becomes a light too strong for any illusion to survive. The narcissist's empire may have looked eternal, but it was always temporary because darkness cannot stand forever in front of light. And when the illusion collapses, time itself bends toward freedom. The chosen one steps into a new era, clear, grounded, and powerful, not because they won the war, but because they remembered who they truly are.
For a long time, the chosen ones walked through life carrying invisible chains. They gave their trust, love, and loyalty freely, believing everyone carried the same heart. But in doing so, they handed over something sacred, their authority. Piece by piece, through guilt, fear, and manipulation, the narcissist took what wasn't theirs to hold. It wasn't just control over situations or emotions. It was control over energy, over belief, over truth. For years, the chosen felt small in the very spaces where they were meant to shine. But the tides are changing, and the year 2026 stands as the great turning point. The moment when the chosen finally takes back the power that was stolen, standing firm in divine alignment. The narcissist's greatest deception was convincing the chosen that they were powerless without them. They made them believe that peace depended on their approval, that love required permission, that self-worth needed validation. Every manipulation was a quiet theft of spiritual territory. But what the narcissist never understood is that the chosen's power was never truly gone. It was only sleeping, waiting to be remembered. This reclaiming doesn't come through rage or revenge. It comes through remembrance. The chosen begins to see the truth that their energy was the foundation of every illusion. Every false empire, every controlling relationship, every moment of self-doubt was built on borrowed power. And when the chosen finally realizes this, the illusion begins to crumble. Awareness becomes their sword, and truth becomes their shield. 2026 is not just another year, it's a spiritual reset. For centuries, dark energies have worked to keep humanity in cycles of fear, distraction, and self-forgetting. But this shift marks the end of that pattern. The chosen are awakening to who they truly are, co-creators of reality, children of divine light, the ones designed to bring balance back to a world that lost its way. And as they reclaim their authority, they no longer ask for permission to exist, to speak, or to shine. They simply stand, calm, confident, and unshaken. This reclamation happens quietly, but its effects are cosmic. When one chosen breaks free, it sends ripples through the collective field. Others begin to feel it, a strange stirring, a pull to wake up from old lies. They start questioning the systems, the hierarchies, the false lights that once ruled their lives. What's happening isn't chaos, it's correction. Energy is returning to its rightful owners.
The narcissist, who built their world on stolen confidence and borrowed charisma, begins to lose grip. They try to repeat their old tactics, guilt trips, love bombing, silent treatments, but none of it lands the same way anymore. The chosen no longer responds with confusion or panic. Instead, they respond with clarity. Every time the chosen refuses to feed the manipulation, they reclaim a piece of their soul. It's like watching a crown slowly being restored to its rightful king or queen. Not a crown of ego, but of spiritual authority, the kind that comes from alignment with truth. This authority doesn't control others, it commands energy. It doesn't demand power, it radiates power. The chosen learns to speak with intention, to create through vibration, and to move in purpose. What was once stolen through deception is now guarded by divine light. And as 2026 unfolds, the spiritual atmosphere feels different. You can sense it. The air is heavier with meaning. The world seems to be dividing between those who lead through fear and those who lead through light. The chosen are no longer waiting for permission to step forward. They're taking their place in destiny, guided not by ego, but by divine instruction. The reclaiming of authority is not about dominating others. It's about mastering self. It's about remembering that you are not a victim of the timeline, you are a shaper of it. Every word you speak, every choice you make, every emotion you release carries creative power. The narcissist's illusion once hijacked that creativity through fear, but now the chosen is learning to use it consciously. And as this awareness spreads, new worlds begin to form. Relationships that were once toxic dissolve. Communities start rising in truth. People begin choosing connection over competition, intuition over manipulation, light over performance. The narcissist's empire, built on fear and deceit, finds no place to grow in this new vibration. It's not that the chosen destroyed it, it simply cannot survive in higher frequency. The chosen's power is not loud, but it is absolute. It's the power of peace in chaos, the power of discernment in deception, the power of love in a world that forgot how to feel it. When they stand in divine alignment, even time bends around them. The past loses its grip, and the future opens wide with possibility. The year 2026 will be remembered as the moment humanity began to reclaim, not through battle, but through awakening. The chosen will no longer be the quiet healers in the background. They will rise as leaders of light, not because they seek glory, but because truth demands to be seen. Their words will carry weight, their energy will shift rooms, and their mere presence will dismantle deception. This is the season of return, the return of power to the rightful hearts, the return of truth to the collective, the return of peace to the earth. What was stolen through manipulation is being restored through divine justice. And when the chosen finally stands tall, something extraordinary happens. The narcissist's control vanishes like smoke in sunlight. Because true authority cannot be taken, it can only be forgotten. And now it's being remembered. The reclaiming of authority is the final act of liberation. The chosen one no longer fights for power, they embody it. No longer searches for truth, they become it. And in 2026, the world will witness this transformation. A quiet revolution where light remembers its source and takes its place at the throne once more.
Something is changing. The air feels charged, the energy feels different, and hearts around the world are beginning to stir. People who once moved through life half asleep are starting to sense something deeper, a quiet call echoing through their souls. It's not a sound, but a knowing, a whisper that says, "Wake up. You were meant for more." This is not the story of one person's journey or a single spiritual battle. This is the beginning of a global awakening. and the chosen are standing at the front lines, guiding humanity into the birth of a new era. For years, darkness disguised itself as normal life. Manipulation looked like leadership. Lies wore the mask of truth. People were kept busy chasing distractions, disconnected from their spirit and blind to their own power. The narcissistic forces, both personal and collective, fed on fear and confusion, keeping humanity asleep in cycles of control. But the illusion can't last forever. Light is patient, but it never forgets its purpose. And now, as the veil begins to lift, humanity is finally starting to see what was hidden all along. The chosen ones have felt this shift coming for a long time. Many of them were the first to suffer under the weight of deception, to feel the pain of being misunderstood, and to walk through darkness in search of truth. Their lives were not easy. They were filled with trials, isolation, and constant spiritual warfare. But all of it had purpose. Every wound taught them compassion. Every betrayal taught them discernment. Every loss taught them strength. They were being prepared, not to escape the world, but to help heal it. And now, in 2026, that purpose begins to unfold. This is the year when light steps forward. The masks that once hid corruption and ego will begin to crumble, and people will see how deeply manipulation has shaped society. Systems built on greed and power will start to collapse, and truth will rise like the sun after a long night. The chosen are not here to control this change. They're here to guide it. Their awakening helps others awaken. Their peace becomes contagious. Their courage becomes the spark that lights countless other souls. This awakening is not loud or violent. It moves quietly from heart to heart. A mother starts speaking truth in her home. A teacher begins inspiring students to think freely. A young creator pours light into their art. These small acts of truth form waves, ripples that spread through families, communities, and nations. The future doesn't belong to those who manipulate. It belongs to those who see clearly. The awakened understand that real power doesn't come from control. It comes from consciousness. When you know who you are, no one can use fear to manipulate you. When you understand energy, you see beyond appearances. When you live in alignment with divine truth, your very presence shifts the world around you. That's what the chosen have become, walking beacons of awareness. Their light doesn't need to shout. It simply exists, and existence itself changes everything. But this awakening doesn't come without resistance. As light expands, the shadows panic. The narcissistic forces, both spiritual and worldly, will fight harder than ever to keep control. They will spread fear through media, distraction through technology, and division through conflict. But their time's running out. Their illusions can't survive in an awakened world. Once people begin to see how their energy has been used against them, they begin to reclaim it. Awareness breaks every chain. The chosen know that awakening isn't about escaping the world. It's about transforming it. They are not here to build new systems of control, but to remind humanity of its divine nature. They teach through example, through kindness, empathy, truth, and spiritual strength. They stand as proof that you can face darkness and not become it. They are the bridge between the old and the new, between illusion and truth, chaos and order, fear and love. As more people awaken, the collective vibration of the earth begins to rise. You can feel it in conversations, in art, in nature itself. The planet is healing, and so are its people. The future is not being written by those in power, but by those in awareness. Every person who chooses truth over convenience, love over judgment, faith over fear, they're shaping the new world. 2026 marks the beginning of this rebirth. Humanity is stepping out of spiritual amnesia and into remembrance. We are remembering who we are, where we came from, and why we're here. The chosen ones are not saviors, they are mirrors. They remind everyone that the same divine light lives within them too. The real victory of this age won't be one group defeating another. It will be truth dissolving illusion,
awakening dissolving ignorance, and love dissolving fear. The world ahead won't be perfect overnight. The process of awakening can be uncomfortable, even painful. It means facing truths that were easier to ignore. It means letting go of identities built on lies. It means learning to think, feel, and live from the soul instead of the ego. But this discomfort is sacred. It's the birth pain of a new age. The future belongs to those who choose awareness over ignorance, to those who look within instead of blaming without, to those who understand that true change doesn't start in governments or institutions, it starts in hearts. The chosen are leading not through domination, but through transformation. Their strength lies not in how loud they speak, but in how deeply they live their truth. When you look at the world today, the chaos, the confusion, the constant noise, it's easy to feel hopeless. But what's really happening is a purge. The old is collapsing so the new can be born. Illusions are dissolving so reality can heal. What we're witnessing is not the end, but the beginning, the rebirth of consciousness on a planetary scale. The future belongs to the awakened, to those who see beyond fear, who walk in faith, who speak light into the dark. They are the quiet warriors who heal instead of hate, who build instead of destroy, and who love even when the world forgets how. As the veil lifts, one truth becomes clear. This was never just a personal battle. It's a collective awakening, a divine unfolding, and every soul has a role to play. The chosen may lead the way, but the awakening is for all. The future is calling, not to the powerful, but to the aware. And when humanity finally steps into that awareness, the world will remember what it always was, not a battlefield, but a living reflection of divine truth, waiting to shine again.